p.m. start. We're going to start a couple minutes earlier. Then we're going to end at about 11:30. Now there's going to be a break at 10. So an hour and a half complete straight, and then 10:10 to 11:30. Now they have us doing a 11:30 to 1:30 gap. So that's 2 hours. That's how the schedule is split up. You know, I don't know that, but 1:30 to 3:30 close. Okay, how we do it? So 8:30 to 11:30, 1:30 to 3:30. Cool. So today though, what we're going to do is we're going to revisit yesterday's information because there's about 10 slides left that want to make sure you guys get context of. And after that, we're going to go into today's topics. Now, the topics for today, right? So after these 10 slides, we'll go into today's topics. The first one is selling mistakes. So selling mistakes, right? Things that we can correct tonight, things that we can correct tomorrow. That's the first topic from 8:30 to 11:30. Get about 9 to 11:30. And then the next topic we're going to do is between 1:30 and 3:30. That's goal setting, right? So that's SMART goal setting. There's a method called SMART, and that's the method we're going to go over later in the afternoon. How we doing so far? Nice debrief? All right, good. Now to start the day, we're actually going to recap on some things like yesterday. So this here is our gesture interpretations we went over yesterday, right? I think I acted out a couple of them. Nothing fancy here, but we're going to stand up individually and do them, okay? So we're going to run through, once again, some facial expressions, some body language, just like Moravian's rule. These are some things we're going to practice. So just looking at the screen, right? We see chin rub, right? We talked about this yesterday. What is that? That's making a decision. That's right, left, or right? Everybody following so far? Good. Let's keep moving. Palm to the chest. Right, very sincere. That's I actually like that a lot. Biting of the lip. All right, a little bit worried. Let's keep moving. Lack of eye contact. Oh man, that's big. That's so big. When you don't like that eye contact, you're looking down, you're not honest, things like that. We're gonna move on to finger pointing, right? Right, you did this, right? John, you did this, right? Let's keep moving. Hands clap behind the head. I believe that this is what it means, but that's not confident to me, but they say it's confident, okay? Touching eyeglasses to the head, right? That's right here. Let's do some stuff like that, kind of delayed, sitting back a little bit. And we're going to go hands on the hips. You're very impatient, right? You need something now. You're walking back and forth, right? That's what we're getting there. Cross arms, you're unreceptive. Right? So everybody, we're going to do that as our icebreaker this morning. Everybody go ahead and raise your seat. We're going to go ahead and stand up. As I call it out, you'll do it, right? This is to build awareness every day. Here we go. We're going to go with chin rub. Give me a chin rub. Now what does this mean we're doing? We're making a what?
Decision.
We're making a what?
Decision.
There we go. Palm to the chest. Palm to the chest. How do we feel?
Sincere.
One more time.
Sincere.
There we go. Biting your lip. Look at these little bodies right here. How do we feel?
Uncertain.
Uncertain. How do we feel?
Uncertain.
There we go. Lack of eye contact. Just look around. Just kind of. Wow. That's some pretty confident people in this room today. Lack of eye contact. How do we feel? Dishonest. How do we feel?
Dishonest.
There we go. Finger pointing. Make an action. Wow, they all came at me on that one. They all came. And so what are we doing? We're accusing, right? So what are we doing? Accusing. Let's go. Hands clapped behind the head. Just walking around. Oh yeah, that's some confident people. How do we feel? Confident. How do we feel?
Confident.
There we go. We're touching our eyeglasses to our head. Adjusting, moving around. Yeah. Hey, Chris. I don't know. What does that mean? We're delaying a decision. We're doing what?
Delaying a decision.
There we go. Our hands are on our hips. Hands on the hips. Hands on the hips. We're feeling impatient. What are we feeling?
Impatient.
There we go.
Yeah.
Next step. Cross arms and legs.
Unreceptive.
Yeah, that's that. Not so much. Not today. Right? That's unreceptive. Everybody go ahead and give you a round of applause. Good. Nice icebreaker.
You know, I have to be careful with the crossed arms ones because I like sitting like this.
I was just gonna say you do that, but I don't think you mean it in that way.
No, I like sitting with
I cross my legs a lot too, and I
Right,
think
me
that's
too.
okay. I mean, I don't feel like I'm being closed off.
Well, in the eye contact, you can actually make the other person feel uncomfortable.
Literally.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're bored in and
Yeah.
they start fidgeting and,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, I noticed myself yesterday too. I sat like this, and I'm judging myself because, before you guys were saying, yesterday or Monday we went like this.
Yeah.
That's me being happy, but it came across as me being aggressive or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But I just went out, and this is me paying attention, listening. This isn't me thinking, whatever. And I sat like this yesterday all the time,
Yeah.
wondering what this was. So it can be all. Maybe I'm more different because I'm a handicapped, but.
Because I'm a hand guy.
I mean, those are good rules, but I don't think they're laws.
Just 100%. 100%. Those are just main cues, right? Typical cues you see day to day. Things to be aware of. Things to be aware of. Like we may use them differently. Like your hands back, but you're energetic. You're pointing, right? So that's just something there. But not lost. Not lost. The goal here too, guys, is when we talk about negotiation. The last thing we were talking about negotiation, right? And this topic and this slide here is all based off of the negotiation slide, right? We want to make sure we're being assertive. Now, I remember yesterday, Jason, you were talking about how you're on Zoom. They kind of shut you down a little bit. Right? Making sure that we're being that presence, we're being assertive as salesmen and as businessmen. That's something that I want to make sure I bring to our attention. So the one thing that being assertive does, we all know, is that when you speak from the diaphragm like we talked about, and you're assertive, and you're respectful, when you're eye-to-eye contact, right? You're very respectful. That shows respect. You get respect, right? Respect is earned, not given. And those are some things, ways to do it is being assertive. Now let's take a look. Well, it says being assertive. Well, what does that even mean, John? I mean, being assertive, right? Well, one of the things that it's saying is stating your opinion. Now, I actually want to open this up for discussion because I've heard different contrary beliefs on stating your opinion, especially in the business room and the boardroom. What are you guys' thoughts on stating your opinion? Being assertive, stating it. I believe that we should have XYZ dollars allocated for.
My wife tells me that the way I answer a question,
Okay.
she thinks it's gospel. The answer is the truth. When 9 times out of 10, it's not.
You lie to your wife 9 out of 10 times? Or,
Generally speaking.
oh, wow.
That's why. That's why we're married 42 years.
I don't lie.
We made it 42 years
Yeah.
because of that.
43 years, how long did you make it?
I made it 30 years.
Now you know what you did wrong.
Honesty's not the best thing.
What does she think your first name really is?
George.
George.
I'm George Schwartz.
Nonetheless, guys, we gotta wind it in. Nonetheless, stating your opinion in an obviously respectful, professional way is more or less what they mean when they're saying be assertive. They use respect. Another thing is asking for their opinion. For example, John, I was doing a report yesterday, and it showed about 100,000 short for the quarter. What's your opinion on what we should do to kind of make an adjustment? Right, that shows kind of that it's the forthcoming leadership that kind of represents, and I'm getting some head nods from Tim. Any feedback from that, asking for their opinion, and do you all do that on the team?
Absolutely.
You do that on
Yeah, because especially with customers, they have the experience in whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
So asking their opinion about what maybe they think of my solution or what I'm trying to present, at least to get that out in the open and see where we're at. I mean, I think it's a good gauge to see what's happening on the
100%.
other side.
100%, Chris. I respect it 100%. Anybody else feedback on this?
Yeah, for stating your opinion, because this happens sometimes, I will make an assumption to something and I will state my opinion on that. But if I don't get somebody else's opinion, because we did something not too long ago and I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong on it, and it wasn't until the other opinion was said that I understood that I was wrong.
Yeah.
And it was something had to do with, you might have been involved, you might have been involved, you probably, I don't remember it, but I do, I'm very self-wrong.
Oh my God.
We'll talk later.
Well, I guess there's a thing
And
right
that's
there,
why
too.
the hands go like this.
That's what they is.
I'm very seldom wrong.
And there's a difference being assertive between a team member,
Yeah.
between a customer, and through management.
Yes.
I mean, there's
Let's talk about that. What's the difference between the three? Customer, co-worker, manager. Being assertive. How should we do it? How should we say it? Should it be a difference?
I don't think there's much of a difference because I want to get the clarification. When I state my opinion, I'll ask you, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? And that would be the same with John. If I say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, what do you think? I would say that the customer too. I say, I'm looking at this head or this tool, what do you think? So to me, there isn't really a huge differentiation, although to some degree with management, I don't want to go too far with my opinion.
Of course, but
and I think that's what, I don't wanna speak for Jason,
No,
but I think, John, I think we can speak your opinion, this is supposed to be a team, we have a harder time speaking our opinion to Anthony, I believe, is that what you were kinda leaning to when you, in your team's meetings, when you just brought that up? that you get,
Yeah.
yeah.
We need
I
to
mean,
shut you down a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
But the part that's important is the respectful part that you got up there, because no matter who you're gonna talk to, and how you're gonna talk, respect's gotta be given both ways.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, and John, I wanna comment that you do that very well. I mean, you do, when someone's explaining something, I mean, you listen
Hey,
until the end.
Thank you.
You do, very good.
gotta give you a round of applause for that. Good job. That's something that's something that I respect right there. Listening, that active listening we talk about, that's
Yeah.
what it's about.
Yeah.
And as the leader, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that, John. Let's keep moving. So next thing, I'm okay, right? I'm okay, and something we don't wanna do, right? Kinda express it, be assertive. You're okay too, kinda just shine things down, something we don't wanna do. So more of the things to the left we wanna do, to the right, act. Or state your opinion respectfully, right? And ask others for their opinions. Two things I would write down for that right there. Just making sure you're enhancing your skills there. Let's keep going, let's keep going. So this is what this is here, speaking on listening to others. This is about giving feedback, guys. And as leadership, you all know that this is something quite important. Let's keep moving. This slide is a feedback walls, right? We're gonna stay right there. So, feedback and criticism. When you hear those words, feedback and criticism, obviously we all don't want to be told, obviously we're completely wrong, we completely don't know. No one wants to be told that. But at the end of the day, oh, go ahead and take a picture. Yeah, but at the end of the day, feedback and criticism, obviously, especially in management, is needed. We all know that, right? And with that being said, let's go ahead and look through some feedback walls. Some feedback walls. So, feedback, a lot of times when people give feedback, it threatens their safety. Well, I like what you did here, but you could have done a lot better, and I'm actually disappointed that you did it this way, right? Finding a way, and Jason felt with that. You said you want to express a little bit on that? Have you?
I just kind of feel like that, the tenure that I've been with Beans, under both leaders.
100%. Is that something you want to touch on a little further, or?
You know, we try to have people be, kind of go beyond their daily responsibilities to help with the team. And whenever we do that, we kind of get our hands smacked the following week or the next day. Why did you do it that way? Why did you do this? But yet we're being told daily to do as much as you can to help. And then we get criticized for how we do it in a disrespectful way.
Yeah, the problem I see with it is it's not constructive criticism. It's
Degrading. Degrading criticism.
Combative.
There's something that I learned, when I was at Sandvik Machining Solutions, when I worked at Seco, one of the things that my manager, was stressed a lot, and John actually does this quite a lot. It's called giving a receipt. And what that is if you're gonna criticize someone or give them negative feedback, first give them something positive.
Of course.
Like in your case, Jason, say, if I were your manager, I would say, you're doing a great job, I see all the effort you're putting through, except I wanna talk about this other thing. So if you give the receipt first, then you can give the negative criticism. I think that makes the feedback a little bit more palatable.
Of course.
And John does that, but the problem is, that doesn't happen as much at this company as it should, in general.
Hey, John, I have a question. If you don't mind, do you mind writing that down? Just because that's company feedback that I feel like would be useful. You mind writing that down? They want to switch up the criticism method and use it less degrading, is what I'm hearing.
One thing the other morning when Tim gave his presentation, was, I like what you said in that, don't come and complain unless you have a solution. Yeah, it's one thing to hear, you stink, you did a terrible job, and walk out. It's another to, this is what happened here. If we did, what do you think about doing this or trying that or applying these methods to it? Now you've offered some help and a solution to it instead of, just coming and kicking the dog and
Walking
walking
out,
away.
right? Yeah, I like that. Just having John write a couple things down. This is good, important for the company.
Well, I
right?
think you started the day out with respect is earned. It's not just granted. And that goes for everybody in everyday life,
100%.
you know, and once you lose respect, it's kinda hard to get it back.
Very. It takes more time to get it back than it does to get it in the first place. And we already work hard to get it in the first place. Is that right? With customers, with clients, with vendors. So that's the key. I like that. Good feedback, everybody. I'm glad you wrote that down. Let's move on to the next one. So like you were talking about, sometimes feedback can make you uncomfortable. Now, when I hear that, guys, the couple things that come to mind is more like a language thing, more like a how, and that relates a little bit to the tonality we talked about and a little bit of the language we talked about. So, what I would like to do, because this is more than just learning, selling mistakes today, SMART goals. This is more like making a change. So let's go around the room and give each other comfortable feedback. So when we set the problem, they're degrading, not really the feedback we want to hear, the criticism. Let's go ahead and practice it. Let's practice the feedback we want to hear. Is that good? So let's go ahead. Chris, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let's say that I didn't submit a report to you, or I didn't get back with a customer or client, you're my manager.
Okay.
What would be your criticism of me?
I would say, Aaron, traditionally you've been really good about getting back with your customers. I just recently got an email from a customer saying that you weren't able to get back to them. I just wanted to make sure there was if there's anything that I can do to help you make sure that you follow up properly with the customers, to make sure that, they at least let them know that you're working on it, or you have acknowledged the fact that they reached out to you.
Right on.
So
Right on.
what do we do to fix that, if there's anything?
So you brought it to me as we work together. So you made it unity. So the problem is ours now. That just sounds like, yeah, I like that. Great job. Anybody have any feedback on what we just did as we go around? Any feedback on what Chris did? That was wonderful. Right? He brought it to us problem. He didn't blame you. He didn't make him feel what? He didn't make him feel uncomfortable. Right? He kind of said, hey, this is our thing. Is there anything I can do to help you kind of move forward and kind of get this job done, process going, anything like that? Any feedback? Okay. Rocky?
Personally, I try to stay away from those confrontations. You know what I mean? I just, if somebody does something wrong, I'd rather just fix it and move on forward. I'm not in a position to,
Do that.
you know.
Yeah. I respect that. He stays out the way. He stays clear. If there's something wrong, he gets his hands on it, gets it done, and keeps moving. That's one way to do it. I like that, Rocky. Like that. Jeff?
So respond to the same.
Same. Actually, let me give you a different one. Right here, I deliver, let's say that I made the sale. You're my salesman. I made the sale. And the client is unhappy because I maybe didn't follow up and I didn't keep track of delivery. Then you're talking to me about that criticism.
Hey, I know you made the sale, everything's well, and you know that. Oh God, I can't.
Do it how
we can't follow. I can't follow up with delivery because we have to go through management to follow. Hey, I know you made the sale was great, but keep me in the loop because I have to follow up with delivery. I know you can't do that yourself, so you should get with me on a weekly basis so that I can get with Germany and then get back with you in a reasonable time. But I know it's not all your fault, but you got to remind me so that I can get with so I can get with Germany and follow up for you because we're
Wonderful. Also, great job, Jeff. Also, John, these are just things that they're saying how they would like it. So these are, if you observe really well, this is kind of where they would like it and be more comfortable to them. And that's why I'm just having them go.
And I don't think this is towards John's management, and it's not towards John. I think we're complimenting you. I mean, we're complimenting you. I think this is, I mean, the person that should be, this one that this is going around, and we'd be saying whether he's here or not.
I'm almost wondering if he knew what the topic was.
Hey, Jason, give me one, brother. This is criticism. Same one. I didn't keep track of delivery. Made the sale. Great guy, but I didn't keep up with delivery. Go ahead and give me some criticism. The criticism you would like to hear.
Yeah, Aaron, you do a great job for the company. You're always out there moving forward with our customers and making sales. There's one customer in particular has been with us for a long time, and you really didn't stay on top of keeping them notified of the updates like I felt you should have. But just moving forward, we can just try to keep them updated weekly. That way we can keep all of our customers informed of what's going on with their delivery.
Wonderful. Everybody like that one as well. So these are just examples. We don't have to go around the whole room because we do have a lot to do today in a short amount of time, less time than yesterday. But those are just some examples of how to make someone feel comfortable giving criticism. Really good point to know. Let's keep going. A lot of things, feedback. So a lot of times, as you guys know, managing the team is unfamiliar, right? At home, these days, sometimes they're not even, proper parenting or different things like that. They're salesmen, they're hungry, they're hustling. It's unfamiliar to them to kind of get coached on feedback sometimes. So that's something we need to keep in mind too. Is when we're giving feedback, sometimes everybody doesn't approve of it, like accept that or receive that feedback the same. So we do need to tailor it. And that's another reason why we did really well with the personality checks yesterday. So we know who we're talking to. Right? If I know John's an introvert, or Robert's an introvert, well obviously we're not going to give him the feedback the same way. Maybe he understands it different. Do you have something there?
No, I just, that's, like I said earlier, I mean, it's almost like, that's what a good, difference between a good salesman and a bad salesman, that's why some people are in sales, not in sales, because they know how to read the situation.
There you go.
And I thought it's easy for everybody, because it's been easy for me, but then I realized, you know, when I was 30, that some people like, I'm like, why don't you want to be a salesman? I'm like, oh my God, like, no way. And like, I thought everybody wanted to be a salesman since I was 12.
Yeah, good.
You know, one of the things, and I don't know if it fits here or fits somewhere else, but sometimes when giving feedback, you know, you said unfamiliar, and you mentioned family, you know, as a part of the management team, sometimes there are things that are non-work related that interfere with the job, and not knowing that something's going on in somebody's life. To give you an example, your mother was in the hospital. I didn't know that. But I judged him off of something else, you know, and so once I knew it, then I apologized and said, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, you know. We had another guy that had some personal issues at home with a child, and you know, knowing that helped work with him, and otherwise we thought he was a slacker, a huge slacker, you know, and so you know, my thing to the team is, if you got something going on at home that's interfering a little bit, you know, just kind of make a note, say, hey, I'm dealing with something that's may cross over into the workplace, and I'm sorry, you know, but.
Communication.
Communication is big. Communication, I like this.
Yeah.
I like that. Communication is big. And another thing I was gonna say there is, another thing in leadership too is we want them to come to us to be vulnerable. So we also have to create that energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that they're giving a lot of feedback just to leadership in general. Obviously, you're doing a great job because they gave you a lot of congratulations, but creating that energy around welcoming that conversation. Because we all have been a lot of different companies, different managers where we can't even say, you know, go into the opinion side. We can't get that opinion, or we don't ask for that opinion. So I'm glad that you welcome that energy. And next thing, cause defensiveness. Now, although we can't really help them receive it any different other than how we say it and a little bit of what we say, but there are things we can still do, right? How, the tonality, lower tone sometimes, step away, reading the scene, reading with their personality style, understanding how to approach it. This is really key, not just in management and leadership, but in our day-to-day activities, safe to say. Okay, any feedback there on causing defensiveness? Because we know that that's one of the things that.
Yeah, like I said about the receipt and what Jason said, if you start a conversation that might have some negative feedback, you start with something positive. For me, it makes it completely different.
Everybody
If you just attack me, I'm shutting down.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what you're saying after that, because at this point, you have not balanced your conversation. It's not a balanced.
And is that an introvert thing? I'm asking.
No.
I think that's
It's
a
a good
person.
human
That's a
nature.
person.
Yeah, that's human nature. Yeah,
Because me, when I get attacked, I attack back.
I do.
You know, yeah. And we've talked about that, and that made, you know, yeah.
Well, only thing, because I was teaching a class in Vermont, the only thing that would register to me as maybe fight or flight responses and how you react to different situations. But that's not a personality thing at all. Yeah, how you receive that.
Yeah, in a lot of things, and again, I did personality studies, so one of the things that I learned in communicating with my wife better was you can't say you. You know, when you say you, it's you did this, you know, and instead of this happened, you know, it's a whole different.
It's almost like you're defining the entire person in a negative way.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas
right.
this is an instance of when you did something wrong, which is completely separate from
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
And the thing too, it's about respect too, like you said, if you attack me, I will not attack you back, because I mute so much respect for you. If somebody that I don't respect attacks me, you know, I mean, there is that too, I mean, there's definitely different circle.
But that always escalates.
I know, well, who attacked first and who attacked second, you know, I mean, you know, chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, fight or flee.
Yeah, that's a response. Actually, I was just teaching a managing emotion course with a construction company and helping those, you know, guys. They hard brothers, they blue collar, and I'm getting them kind of bringing that tame that they call it tame the inner gremlin, kind of tame that. Fight or flight is kind of our direct response subconsciously. I'm not going to get into too much psychology, but you can work on taming that in some ways. So that's one thing there. I mean, and we already know, we just talked about it's awfully poorly conveyed. Usually leadership sometimes hectic day, right? A lot of phone calls, a lot of problems to solve. Come out the office, come out the room, and just tear you up. We all have had that, seen that, all that. So we just want to make sure we're giving feedback to all, even our colleagues around us, and we're making sure we're not poorly conveying that. Let's keep moving.
Can I interject something right there?
Of course you can.
So, What's your position, let's say
Mhm.
you have a boss that comes at you full force,
Okay.
and you take it, you flee,
Okay.
and then you call him later and you say, did you really mean everything that you said and the way you said it?
What's my position on that?
Yeah.
Honestly, me personally, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. So first off, in the conversation with the boss, well, it depends on how he's doing it. Is it conversation?
It's not then and there, it's you walk away, you take
take
what you got,
Uh-huh.
and perhaps later that evening or the next day,
Okay.
you call them and say, did you actually mean to come across that way? Or is there something else causing it?
I take the implication that it's always something else. Because in business, I realize that a lot of things are like numbers; they have to be done a certain way. So
That's where I wanted you to go.
yeah,
That's,
I wouldn't. take
that's
that.
something